All right, and welcome to a brand new live Cosmic Human Design podcast. We do have a live chat board if you guys get a chance to jump on there and chat away. We are going to bring you another fun episode of this Cosmic Human Design thing. What's this all about? Well, we are combining our DNA and our astrology, the true astrology, that is. And we are bringing you this human design that reads what you are, that shows your personality, that shows your strengths and your I don't want to call them weaknesses, but the things that are tough on you, the challenges you have in your life. And in my Cosmic Human Design, Richard, does it tell you that I'm a morning person and not a night person? Because I have a lot more energy in the morning.
Well, there is actually one thing that can, determine if it's better for you to eat in the day, or if you're more of a night eater, for example. That's something that is securely in the chart. As for a morning person or not, that's interesting. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. I suppose that if your chart had, a lot of energy in it, a lot of motor centers, that might lend itself to, you getting up early and wanting to get a good start on the day. But yeah, I'll have to do a reading for you.
Yeah, specifically on morning or night. But I know for many years I've been always a morning person, and I wonder, my design runs a lot on adrenaline. So I wonder if my adrenaline runs out by the evening, and plus that's when I have my biggest meal as well. Go ahead, Jarin. What do you got? Yeah.
In my experience, in general, this is a general rule, is that projectors and reflectors seem to be more morning people. They seem to kind of be able to get up and go, or want to go. And what I noticed, including myself, as generators and manifesting generators, especially, that takes a little bit to get the pumps going. So it takes a little bit to get going, but once we get going, we keep going. We're actually supposed to go to bed tired, MGs and manifestors especially, or manifesting generators and generators, I should say, are supposed to go to bed rather tired. If a projector goes to bed exhausted, they won't sleep as well. So you're supposed to kind of start to drift off, start to gently calm down and go off to sleep, where I'm a little bit more all out and then done. But I cannot do the morning thing. I've tried. I'm not a morning person. And I noticed that the people that annoy me that are these morning people, I'm just kidding, are often or not the damn projectors, but maybe not. Maybe that's just some of my viewing.
Well, I'll tell you, my wife's an MG as well, so that wears me out too, because she likes to be up later. She likes to accomplish more things later at night. A lot of times I'll fall asleep while she's on her laptop or something, still doing things, typing away over there. And so it's definitely a difference, and that's also a tough part on me, because I like to get up early, and then I like to go to bed a little early, but that doesn't really work out too well with an MG in the house and next to you in the bed. So, but hey, listen, this is what marriage is all about, Jarin.
That means you're running thin, man. You're running thin.
Yes. Well, we catch up at some point. Weekends.
There you go.
Yeah, as a manifesting generator, I will absolutely say that it's difficult for me to lay in bed and try to go to sleep. That doesn't really work. It's like I have to be completely exhausted to fall asleep. And if I lay down before that time, then I'm just not going to sleep. I could lay there 3-4 hours and not still go to sleep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not truly tired. So
that would be very annoying.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man.
Yeah. At the very least, when I was working within the company of Manifesting Greatness, and we were talking human design, it was several years ago, but we would talk about that, not necessarily who's a morning and night person, although I got my perspective with it, but that aspect that Richard's bringing up, that the manifesting generators especially, and the generators to a lesser extent possibly, need to go to bed when they're ready for bed and exhausted, and not like try to force it. And it's opposite. And in fact, I'm working currently with a projector right now who's not able to sleep because she's so freaking exhausted. She's overdoing it, and she can't. I keep trying to say that's not the theme for a projector. You do not want to work hard. You want to work smart, not hard.
That's
and if you're working too hard, you're not going to sleep.
I notice on the nights that I work out, right, and I work out real hard, like I did last night, and I'm feeling it today, is that it's harder for me to sleep on those nights, probably because I overworked, right, and now I'm trying to fall asleep, and it's harder for a projector. That's very interesting information. I never knew. So really interesting perspective on who I am as this design here. And we see Linda Smith has joined us, so good evening, Linda. But yeah, that's
Linda.
Very interesting. We're going to get to the daily today. We didn't get to the daily last time, and we had to miss last Wednesday. I apologize. That was my fault. There was something going on with my son, and then the night changed, but we couldn't get back on schedule. So we just decided to do it this week. Hope you guys missed us. And we're going to get into the daily since we didn't do it last time and see what's going on today. And I think Richard had a little synchronicity with today. With the daily, so we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So let's bring that on over. All right, Richard, you take it away here.
So, so as you guys know by now, you know this is we're reading the daily chart, the daily neutrino information that is coming in. And if you don't know, if you're new to human design posits that. A mechanism for how astrology works, actually, for how the planets are able to affect us. And that is that neutrinos, which are almost like light particles, are emitted from stars and then pass through planets and then pass through us. And since the neutrino is has a very slight mass, it's slightly more massive than light, which of course has zero mass. So it's able to affect matter as it passes through it. So that's the theory behind how all this works, actually. And so these, we're looking at the planets on the right side of this chart, the personality planets, because the personality planets are the planets that are actually coming to us today. The other side, the design side, are 3 months prior to this. So that's kind of how that works there. And Greg, if you could go to the other side, actually, the right side.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So, you know, I always like to start off when looking at these. I like to look at a couple of things. I like to look first at the personality sun, which is what gate the sun is in the sky today. And we see it's in the 61st gate. And I love the 61, guys. Actually, this was my old human design chart in the original human design. I was a 62, 61. Anyways, the 61 is the gate of inner truth. Inner truth, it's called in the I Ching and human design. And this is all about really realizing the fact that in a way we're all born with universal knowledge, with what the I Ching calls the treasure chest of inner truth, which can give us the answers to any situation that we encounter. Inner truth is the realization of fundamental universal principles underlying existence, which actually is what the I Ching is. It's describing the fundamental principles of the cosmos. And the idea is that, you know, inner truth is a way to access that. It's called inner truth. So it's something that's inside of you that you can access. And, you know, since the sun is in that gate today, maybe you're going to have some of those realizations. Maybe you're going to feel drawn to look at some esoteric information, you know, some tarot, or and it's funny because actually coming up here in a minute, I do have exactly that for you. I have some correspondences between the tarot and the I Ching that we're going to look at. And actually, it's funny, the Incarnation Cross for today, if we read that, it's Gray, if you could scroll down just slightly there. The Incarnation Cross is the left angle cross of obscuration. Individuals who's inspired knowing the obscura of inner truth and universal principles can bring out details about absolute and universal law, which might otherwise be missed. So as you guys know, the Incarnation Cross gives you an idea of your life purpose. Now, when talking about it in terms of this daily, it can give you a good idea about the purpose for this day, overall. And so actually it's funny because talking about universal principles is exactly what I was getting ready to talk about on this show today without even seeing this. So that's very funny right there. So yeah, 61, very kind of, it's in the head center. You see the 61s at the very top of the chart. So it's directly in the middle where all the enlightenment comes down from. This is where we receive inspiration, spiritual cosmic downloads of information, like mind-blowing realizations, that kind of stuff. This is what today is going to be like. And just real quickly here, the 62, I want to say, whenever we look at the sun, we also have to look at the earth because they're complementary. In the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd calls them a programming partner. So in a way, these are working together to program, to enact the cosmic program that's going on all around us in a specific way. And the 62 is the counterpoint to the 61 in that it's focused on precision. That's the gift in the Gene Keys. The gift of the 61 is inspiration. The 62 is precision. It's all about details. Getting the details right. In the I Ching, it's called the preponderance of the small. So worrying about getting all the little details in your life right. That's the earth for today. And it's funny because just earlier today, I cleaned up the room a lot. I vacuumed and did all this other stuff, but I don't normally do. So that's in my opinion, that's the 62, focusing on all the little small details and really putting effort into putting all the bricks in order, we could say.
and Richard, it's also in the moon.
Oh, well. It's in the moon too. Wow.
So it's got extra energy behind it for sure, and feeling and in what you're going to attract to you, right? So yeah. And we can vouch for Richard. We call it before riding the wave. So when you experience a synchronicity, it shows you alignment, and it shows you that you're in, I don't want to call it the correct process of energy or engagement, but you're in an alignment. And when he aimed to do what he's about to do when we enter the next section here on the show, and then we looked at the day, he didn't look at it before. We glanced at it, and the Incarnation Cross exactly describes what it is we're talking about today. And then when he sees he just cleaned his room, right, it's all relating, which means in a sense, he's within alignment. He's engaging energy that is in harmony with the natural process. So that's what it's great to see. You can plan ahead. Yes, you can plan ahead and consciously take action or, engage your feelings in certain directions based on what the transit is. But also it's nice to just be able to see it and realize when you are in it without even looking, because that shows you that you're in flow and you're in the feeling state and you're following your intuition. And that's ideally where we want to be when it comes to all capacities, including in our manifestation, because then we're in the correct harmony with what the universe wants us to go towards, what it wants us to grow with, what it wants us to create from. And that's really where we want to be. Ideally, as a species, we want to get in touch and in harmony with the cosmos again, which means because we're all individual and unique, okay, we have unique expressions, we're completely different, yet we're all subject to the tide together. even in slightly different, unique ways, of course, of how it affects us. But still, the general energy is we are all experiencing the same conditioning at a time. And, it'll be great to see in the coming epic as humanity moves into a place of working together with each other in totality of equality instead of competition, as well as working in equality and totality with the universe and with the flows of the universe, which is the whole purpose of understanding time and understanding the cosmos effect on us, so that we go with the current instead of against it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fancy new Earth coming our way very soon, hopefully. But yeah, we got some people joining us. We got Authors Space, and we've got Brandon Author. Two authors here.
Yeah,
Arthur.
yeah. Thanks for this guy, Arthur. He subscribed to my YouTube channel twice.
Oh,
I saw,
okay.
I was like, whoa, didn't this guy already subscribe? Is it like got a bot working for me to give me more stuff? That's cool. That's
All right.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. All right, so perfect. We'll move on from the daily, and we'll get into some of the other stuff you want to get into here, Richard. You wanted to get into which one first here?
Yeah, let's do the it's the Google Doc, the Cosmic HD podcast, it says.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah. So let's bring that up here.
Certainly.
And
all right. Universal keys to the cosmos. Let's go.
So, guys, I just want to emphasize for you guys what it is on a big picture level, what it is we're talking about here, and in human design, and the foundation for all this. Well, the foundation, if we look a little deeper into it, we see that what we're dealing with are these keys to the cosmos. And let me just walk you through some of the kind of mind-blowing correspondences here. So if you don't know, each hexagram of the I Ching is equivalent to one of the 64 codons in human DNA. There's 64 hexagrams, 64 codons in human DNA. Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing in and of itself. And as you guys know, each of those codons codes for a particular amino acid. Some of the codons code for, there's multiple codons that can code for the same amino acid. So there's more codons than there are amino acids. Some of them are redundant in a way, in terms of making amino acids. And there are 22 main amino acids in the body, okay? Now, what you can also do is you can arrange each of the hexagrams, each of the 64 hexagrams, into 22 codon rings, where each hexagram in that ring is going to have a lot in common. And on the next page, I'll show you the different rings, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, let's link this to some other spiritual traditions here, and see what we're really talking about. So there's also 22 major arcana, which the word itself means profound secret. That's what the words mean, of the tarot. And the tarot, if you really study and get in depth on the tarot, it turns out the 22 major arcana are representing this archetypal evolution of human consciousness, and actually studying the cards and immersing yourself in the cards can bring about those states in yourself as well. And the idea is to further our spiritual evolution by doing that. Another thing is there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So each of those letters corresponds to one of the tarot cards. And each of these tarot cards corresponds to one of the codon rings, which corresponds to one of the hexagrams. So all this stuff is connected. In the Kabbalistic tradition, in the Sefer Yetzirah, it said that God created the universe using these 22 letters, which is a reflection of sound, of how sound can manifest. JARIN talks a lot about this, how sound can manifest reality, different realities. If you take a look at cymatics and how different frequencies of sound can form different patterns when applied to water, and the water just assumes these different crazy shapes if you're applying different sounds to them. So that's what sound is doing to the air, around us. And these different letters are said to, be how God created the universe, which is a reflection of their archetypal significance in the cosmos. So we've got these 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, 22 major arcana of the tarot, 22 Hebrew letters of the alphabet. They all correspond to each other, and they represent the fund. And also, don't forget, most importantly, perhaps, these are in our DNA. So each of these corresponds to our DNA that we're made up of. So we're literally built from these principles, these laws of the cosmos. That's what we're dealing with here. And once you realize that, actually everything that exists is made up of some combination of these principles, or can be understood consciously through those principles. Everything that happens to you personally can be understood as a function of one of these different principles. Which, I talk about consulting the I Ching a lot. That's how consulting the I Ching can really help you out is, you'll have done something different this day, well, you consult the I Ching and find out which principle is involved, which of the hexagrams, and then that gives you insight into what it is you are actually doing, the deeper conscious significance of it, and where it's leading, most importantly. Or maybe you made a mistake. Or maybe you made a mistake but don't know it. That's the key, because the I Ching tells us that our thoughts that aren't in harmony with the cosmos can have deleterious consequences for us. So if we're thinking hateful thoughts, negative thoughts about people and ourselves, eventually that's going to manifest in reality. That's one of the central teachings of all this is there's an invisible reality of consciousness and a visible reality, a manifestation of form. And what is in actuality, the form follows from the consciousness. Actually, we're living in an upside down world. Most people think the opposite. Most people think that, well, that's just the way it is. We can't change it. We can't do anything about it. That's and they look at the appearance of things without seeing the deeper connections behind it and why it is that way.
The root system behind it. Yep.
Yeah, the root causes of why things are a certain way. It'll always be one of these principles right here. So, Greg, if we bring up the next page, with the correspondences, the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. The other thing you got.
Yeah,
right
that's
here?
pretty much the end of that.
This right here. Talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can blow this up for you. Nope. Let me zoom in here.
It's tricky.
Come on. Oh, let's see where I can do. I can't grab.
If you press Control Plus, it should zoom it in.
Try that. There we go. Look at Richard with his knowledge. All right, let me see if I can slide. Went too far now, huh?
Yeah, I guess if you just move the screen over.
Yep.
Right, a little bit.
I do a little editing here.
But yeah, guys, I want to show you the the actual correspondences between each of the hexagrams. And you can, if you're familiar with the tarot or you know, any of this stuff, you can look at, for example, your personality sun in your human design chart, and come to this table and find which gene key you have for your personality sun. And you can see the codon ring and the tarot card that corresponds to that. And then the idea is, by studying that tarot card, you can get a better understanding of that archetypal energy that, in fact, it is your purpose and destiny to embody in this life, which can put your entire life on track, back on track. And so we can see these different codon rings. Each of them has a different name. These were created by Richard Rudd of the Gene Keys. And, you know, each ring has one or more gene keys associated with it. You know, some of them have 6 different gene keys. And so if we're looking at how the DNA corresponds to this, for example, the first ring there, the ring of humanity, has 6 different gene keys. Well, if you actually look at the amino acid that this ring corresponds to, it turns out it has 6 different codons activating it. So you can look at that an amino acid table and see, you know, how the letters correspond to these numbers, like A, T, G, C, T, U, all those different things, and even get it down to the exact correspondence there. So yeah, I'll have this for you guys in some kind of link or something. I'll link it on the video, but I just want to reiterate to you guys watching now how, you know, what we're really talking about. We're talking about the principles of existence of the whole cosmos here. And this is pretty profound, I feel like, once we understand this, and it can really help us out.
Yeah, really interesting stuff here. You broke everything down here for us. Wow. I wish I knew half of this stuff, Richard, that your real mind makes up here from Yale. Jared, what's your thoughts?
It is, well, it's just amazing to be discovering at this time, you know, not just new information, but to see how everything is interconnected. You know, yeah. As much as it's new, we're actually just remembering. We're remembering what we already know, you know, and we're getting a chance now through actual science and through the external world of information to be able to connect dots and see more accurately what we're built from, you know, what makes us us, and really what the universe is built from, like what the fundamental building blocks of the universe are. And, you know, up till now, you'll have different sections that have come out at different times, you know, with new discovery. You know, you'll notice that, you know, a group of people will all of a sudden come out with the same information, or things will start to have a sprint, you know, or there'll be all these discoveries in one area or the other. But we're kind of really birthing and entering into a time where it all comes together. You know, it all is coming together, and as complex as it seems, it actually is simple. You know, all this is complex, honestly, when you look at all of it, until you grasp some of it and break it down and can understand. But it's all built from sound, as Richard mentioned. You know, it's all built from the string theory of sound, the strings that are making the sounds of the universe. And as much as the universe is infinitely big, right? It's infinitely big. There's infinite possibilities. It has a finite, specific frequency core that it's built from. And then from there, it goes off. And then from there, it goes off. It's like colors. If you think about how 2 colors will form another color, and it'll go on down the line. And we all are built from the same frequency and rules, yet we're completely unique combinations of those frequencies and of the rules. So it's just amazing to me, because, you know, sometimes it's easy to put, you know, mathematical or English language to it, or even relate it to stories that can be, you know, mentally understood. And right now, I'm just in an awe of what's going on, including what we have today from Richard here, in all that is coming, all that is coming together, and just the feeling of admiration of finally we're seeing more of real nature. Finally, we're seeing our real truth. Finally, we have the possibility to step into the new Gaia of the earth, and we can be the new human beings that we want it to be. And it's just an amazing time for me. And in that, having said that, think about all that's going on in the world and all the junk out there that people pay attention to and how bad it looks. That is how bad it is, because the trash is being brought up to be transmuted. But this is how amazing it is to be alive right now. This is how amazing it is to be here. So it's worthwhile everything the collective is going through, and it's worthwhile everything you're going through individually in your own chaos to work things out and get in proper alignment with who you are, how the universe functions, and all that it has available to you in its help of you, not in its, like, I'm glad we mentioned this earlier, not in that it's a force upon you that's trying to harm you or that you're subject to. It is a reflective field. It's a reflective field of you, and when you're with others, the collective combination of what's been created. And when you see it as a mirror of you from the inside, you always have the will and the freedom to change it. You always have the freedom to change it. But the issue is people give their power away to the external, and then it's a force upon you. And we all do this from time to time. I do it. I'm speaking like I never, of course I do. But we have to remember that all it is a reflection, and the power is within. And when we take our power back, we get in alignment with it. It helps us out, and we can create where we want to go, what we want to do, who we want to be with, and what we want to experience. So the power is inside of you, not out. And then all these combinations that we're showing you, especially through the cosmic design as a whole and the mechanics of it, which is the brilliance of it, can help us to get back on the right path, the golden path.
Yeah, absolutely. And your mother brought up the 7,000 data points as well. That Jason Estes always talks about. Yeah, just amazing time on Earth right now, and perfect time for this to really come together and be brought to the public in the correct way, and to really start to push this stuff forward for the great equation that we can use on a daily basis. I want to touch on what you had just mentioned in the previous slides about creation with sound, right? And such an amazing topic there. And each word we speak, each thought that we think, all of this stuff contributes to the next event in our life. And we look collectively right now, right? Everybody out there collectively creating. And we've been collectively creating for basically our slave owners for a very, very long time now. They have given us the movies, the TV shows, the news stories, the headlines, the internet channels, the direct marketing and sales to your phone and to everything that you do, and the peer pressure of thinking like your neighbor or your friend or your coworker, right? To not have a thought of your own. This is where the collective creation happened that we create for them. We are creating the society that they wanted to have. Oops, sorry. I got a little excited. They wanted us to create for them because they are not the powerful creators we are. So now at this time in space, right, this linear time in space, we are literally becoming our own creators. We are starting to come awaken. That's what the Great Awakening is all about. To realize that we have the power to create the earth that we want. And that's the new earth. That's the 5D consciousness that we want to go to. And so in this period of time, as we break away from the sheep, right, and the people that aren't thinking the way that they should be thinking, which is for themselves, and having the ability to be brave enough to work through the fear of saying, I want to have a thought of my own, and I'm going to be okay with that. Right? Just one thought on their own. Just one. That it will make a huge impact in the world just as each person has one thought of their own, and be okay with that. And be okay with that thought. That's me. That's what I wanted to think. And I'm okay with thinking that way. And have you ever heard somebody awaken to that one thought right in front of you? They go, you know what? I'm at the age now where I'm going to say what I want to say. And they make the excuse that they're old enough to do this, right? They have an excuse of why they're going to do what they do. But you start to see them awaken to the idea that they are somehow able to have their own thoughts now. And they're giving themselves permission. So it's a very interesting time right now that we're going through. And as you said, sound is going to create what's going to happen. Well, where does sound come from when we speak words, right? And that is the most powerful thing that's going to happen. We're going to change the way we use our words, because everything in the society right now is based on criticism, is based on I'm not good enough, you're not good enough. I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong, especially in the Twitter world or the Facebook world. I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. I'm going to do anything I can to cut you down, right? This is the way we've been kind of heading in that direction. We had a lot of momentum to negativity, but that is the cusp of breaking away to now being very supportive with one another, coming together collectively, and now enhancing each other in the sound game, right? With words, with phrases, with sayings that are going to really start to propel ourselves forward in this new era of time and space, right? And so that's where we want to head, and that's what we're going to have to do. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be some left behind. Wouldn't you say, JARIN? What do you think?
Well, everyone's meeting their own justice. And that doesn't mean good or bad. It just means what you've done, you've earned. Where you're going, you're choosing it, even if you're not aware of it on a subconscious level. But there is a dimensional shift that not all spirits will choose within this physicality to traverse to. And some of us will.
That's a very politically correct way of putting it, JARIN.
There you go. I thought so too.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it's kind of like a exponential awakening, as more and more people become solidified and grounded in their own personal awakening. That's going to gradually radiate outwards among people, among groups of people. Gradually, I think you're going to see so many people waking up who were just absolutely boneheaded about all this stuff before.
Yeah.
Because in a way, it's not that we're really, in a way, it's not like we're really becoming anything that we're not already. It's just that it's been covered up. It's been we've been exposed, conditioned to with all this negativity our whole lives for generations. So in a way, I look at the Great Awakening as a returning to the cosmic harmony, which is already there in our hearts, but that has been, it's like a hexagram 23 splitting apart. That's what we've been split apart from our own essence, from our own cosmic essence. And so, yes, it does seem like an ascension to us going back to that now, because it's so much greater than what we've always known. I think that can make the journey of this ascension, this awakening, a lot easier to bear, actually, if we think of it in that way and not think of it as a great hill which we need to climb. Instead, look at it as returning to this glorious cosmic harmony, which is waiting for us.
Yeah, a remembrance, right? And that we always talk about in spirituality. It's the remembering of who you are, right? And that's where you say sometimes it clicks like that in somebody, and you're like, wow, this person yesterday was thinking a lot different than they are today, and so somehow there is just a remembrance, and it just starts to gel. It just starts to groove inside of you, and you're just thinking a little different. You're feeling a little more confident in who you are. and it just starts to just bring something out in front of in front of people, like a lion coming out, right? And you're able to now you see people change their look a little bit. You see people change the way they do things. They may even change their name, right? Some people have been known to even change their name and be somebody different. That's how powerful it becomes, and it can really make a huge impact on a whole bunch of people just by one person getting in that remembrance, and then another person who trusts that person goes, wow, look at what Betty's doing, right? And then they start to remember who they are, and it just starts to do this great momentum in a community, and it's amazing to see that happening. And I've seen it in quite a few people I'm close to who in the last couple of months or so is starting to say things that I didn't expect them to say. And I didn't even ask them, right? It just started coming out. And I was like, wow, okay, well, they're headed in the right direction here. So very interesting time on the planet Earth right now. And I have very high expectations for what's about to occur here in 2022 and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Brandon's comment here. He says he's been playing with viewing the tropical-based human design as an alternate reality of a collective shadow reality, and that's really what it is. In the Cosmic I Ching, it calls it the parallel reality, or the quote demonic sphere of consciousness. The demonic sphere of consciousness, because that's ultimately what we've got going on here. What we've had going on is this demonic energy. And I say the word demonic, what I mean by that is basically it's based on an uneven energy exchange. That's what I've come to understand as fundamentally demonic. It like tricks you. It tricks you into giving away your own energy by making you think that you're not good enough. Or that you have to achieve all these different things in order to make up for your inabilities, your mistakes, your faults, and all this stuff. And yeah, parasitic as well is another way to describe it. And the parasites at the top of our society have been parasiting for a long time, and that's fundamentally demonic as well, where they've been transferring energy their way. So that's what we've really got going on here. And it is a parallel reality matrix that we can break through, that we can get through our consciousness. That's the key.
Yeah, when you talk about the parasites from above, and you talk about energy vampires, or the way of them basically through fear, right? Fear is the basis of how they get us to give them so much energy, is that fear porn, and it's everywhere, right? And you can continue to see it if you guys are awake out there in the audience and you have your eyes wide open, right? Or eyes wide shut, whatever you want to call it, is that you can see it. As soon as something starts to die down, they bring in 3 more headlines, that are going to be like, oh, the bird flu is coming back. Oh, it's just like, it's just more ways of grabbing your attention and grabbing that fear and making you talk about something else that's going to be scary or potentially a problem or whatever. There's never a dull moment in the headlines if you're paying attention. So be weary of that, of people in your life that you're surrounded by, and that are going to be those type of people that are going to be heavily taking away your energy. And you can feel it when you walk away from them. I don't know if there's certain designs that are better than others at feeling that, but I certainly know certain areas that I'm exhausted after I walk away. And there's nothing really that happened that I should be exhausted over, except that I just feel very tired when I leave that place. And I'm like, that's like the 3rd time I'm exhausted from that place. That's probably not a good place for me to hang out.
Yeah, especially as a projector, Greg, you would be even more vulnerable to that, to other people's, parasitic energy than, for example, a manifesting generator.
Yeah, definitely feel that. For sure. Jarin, what do you think here as we're moving into this February, right? And we've got Jason Estes saying that we're moving at 7,000 data points per hour, is it? You know, we got a lot of headlines, both good and bad, right? That are going on in the world right now. It feels like we're heading towards a pinpoint or a you know, some kind of, you know, final countdown, right? What do you think and what are you feeling right now in this period of time?
Well, behind the scenes, I feel like we've already reached that threshold, but I think in the public eye, we're going to witness it this year, you know, and we're going to watch this rapid awakening, and we're going to just see more and more extreme aspects of attempting to control and manipulate, but it's clearly a lie. It clearly won't work. It's clearly falling apart. And we're going to see our brothers and sisters wake up. And we're going to watch our dreams come true, for whatever that means to people out there, and your life's work and your purpose. You know, what's stored in your own DNA for you to experience and gift to the world is going to come out. And with all this talk, the feelings that I wanted to bring up, at least on this specific show for any new people out there, is aside from all this, it's when you learn your cosmic human design, you have your true identity template in front of you, so to speak, is to follow your own strategy and authority and pay attention and put your attention on what you want attention on. And if you put your attention on what it is you want to be on, whether it's feeling good in the moment or whether it's creating your so-called future, that and then following your strategy and authority, to me, remain your will, your intuition, and your strategy are your major keys. That's what matters here. That's really what matters. And this is what causes you to jump time. It causes you to avoid unnecessary stresses and conflicts. It causes you to conserve energy, like we're talking about, not even just who we're around. That's one of the aspects, but also the way in which we're functioning and trying to push through life or not. And, you know, right now we bring up these data points, but if you do the math of it, in 4 days now, we are going through a 90-year-old life of processing information and energy. The force upon us, the energy has increased so much. And people say, oh, and they think it's, you know, really. And I'm like, listen, look back in the 1700s to the 1800s to now. Look back when you were in the 90s compared to what life is. Do you see how fast technology has went? Well, do you think technology is the only thing that's doing that? And you think that's just happening magically out of air? No, that's happening because inside of us is energizing that. We're receiving the energy and we are transforming and we are being transformed and we are going so quickly now. So in that quickness, so we are living fast, processing a lot, following your strategy and authority and getting back into your conscious, controlling your conscious thought on where it is you want to go and what is right to you is so crucially important. And the last thing I want to say is one of my teachers, my Indian gurus, he said if he had to sum up creation, after studying this for 70 years in this life, he calls it clarity. That's really what manifestation in life is. You go through the chaos and you arrive to clarity. And when you arrive to clarity, you can see it. And that's the excitement, and that's the urge, and that's the satisfaction, and that's the fulfillment, and that's the giving, and that's all these things that happen. But you have all these voids and these periods of turbulence in between. And right now that's accelerated. So while the stress is going on, while the changes are going on, okay, you're human, you're adapting to that, that's going on. But on the other side of things, think of life in a quantum nature. We're giving quantum mechanics towards that quantum nature to help. But who cares if 90% feels a little uncomfortable, you're not quite seeing things clearly, you're a little unsure of yourself, whatever. As long as you follow your feelings, which is what human design is teaching us, not your mind all the time, and you practice some of these concepts, life will reveal clarity, and your synchronicities will happen, and your quantum leaps will happen, and your truth and your reality will come to you as we traverse these next few years up through 2027, you know, into that crescendo, so to speak. So just be at ease with what's going on. And remember that the more vertical you go, the less work you have to do. So the more you go inside of yourself and connect to spirit, the less junk you'll have to go through in the external. And remember, like Richard said, we're not really climbing the hill. And of course, I feel this way a lot. Okay. But we're not. we're just remembering what's real. We're remembering, and we're actually like watching a movie with popcorn. And why don't we enjoy the movie and just live in the moment instead of being so worried about what everything else is going on and what your future is going to be and what wounds you haven't healed and what everybody else is doing and all that other kind of stuff. Just pay attention to what you want to pay attention to. And you cannot do that from your mind. Your mind can only think in the past. So you saw us talk and we kind of fed off of each other and went to this concept because we're having inspired thoughts, fresh new thoughts, like Greg said, not thoughts that were 10 years ago, not thoughts that are someone else's. We're having thoughts that just spontaneously come to us and are impulsive to think. And they're causing epiphanies within us. They cause epiphanies when you're thinking, when you're processing life that way, rather than being the mind that's saying those words to yourself all the time and letting that ego run. Control it, say no, get into the feeling, and then let life happen and watch the fresh thoughts and the fresh ideas come to you.
Yeah, they say speak from the heart, right? And that's what JARIN's saying. You know, if you open your heart, you turn off your mind, and you just let it flow, especially when you're around good people, it'll just come out. It'll just download into you, and you will be saying things that you were like, wow, where did that come from? That was really good. I got to write that down. Right? You just said it. You got to write it down because it was so good. So that's downloading, you know, from the universe. That's inspired talking, inspired thought. That's great stuff there. That's where you jump time zones, like JARIN says. Good stuff there. What you got, Richard?
Well, you know, building off what JARIN said, and the I Ching talks about this a lot, is you know, I think it's really important for all of us to say no, consciously say no to guilt, because guilt is something that will always keep us trapped. You know, if we start feeling guilty for all the mistakes that we have made, because in actuality, all the mistakes that we have made are in fact due to this matrix. It's not really been us. You know, because we've been influenced in these ways, you know, all of us have gone off on these tangents and directions, and we might start to feel guilty for that when we're focusing on this ascension, on this awakening. You know, it's very easy for someone to get stuck in the past and not let it go, or want to atone for it, or go down the road of redemption, which are ultimately all traps, because they keep you locked in the parallel reality. Guilt is, in a way, purely an invention of this parallel reality to keep us in its chains. Actually, it's invisible chains of our being. But we can consciously say no to feeling guilty. You know, according to the cosmic I Ching, there's no reason to ever feel guilty about anything. It's purely an illusion. The entire idea or concept of guilt is in its totality complete illusion. There is such a thing as blame when you really have done something wrong, but see, the difference is that guilt is, by definition, an unerasable stain on your being. That's guilt. When you start feeling guilty, it's because of something that you can't clean up, that feels like you can't clean up in your psyche. Now, the psyche finds that unbearable, and so it's going to run away from guilt. It's going to not want to feel guilty about anything. Guilt is like the ultimate chain on your being. And so I think it's really important for all of us to say no to the idea of guilt. And whenever we catch ourselves feeling guilty about anything we've done or had happen to us in the past, in this parallel reality matrix that we're emerging from, we turn away and we say no to it, and look to the now moment and to the future.
Wow. I think everybody in the audience wants to give us an amen. That is amazing right there. That was good stuff right there. That is a big life lesson, and a hard one, because I think a lot of us, especially like your mom said, through religion, it's been taught to us. big time.
Yeah.
And so with guilt comes a lot of problems. And, not only for yourself, but if you are surrounded by people that make you feel guilty as well, that's just, it's double, triple. And sometimes you carry around guilt for 30, 40 years from when you were a kid or something happened. I mean, just amazing the compound that can be in your life. So to let go of guilt, to just accept life for what it is, and this parallel matrix, as you call it, and say, it was all part of the plan. And I just got to move forward and keep on keeping on, as they say, to be corny. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
and this parallel reality matrix, in a way, its ultimate defense strategy is to make us feel guilty for leaving the parallel reality matrix. You notice how it does that, or it can do that. So
Yeah.
Anytime you start feeling guilty, it's trying to keep you locked in.
Wow. Tricky.
It's something to think about.
Amazing. And also the law of distraction as well will come up as well. That when you're starting to do something good for yourself, you're trying to meditate, you're trying to do something to help bring you out of that ego. The law of distraction is going to come along. Ding your phone, dog's going to bark, kid's going to knock, pizza's going to come for no reason. Like, what is going on right now, right? It's just, it's you can't believe the way it's designed to keep you locked in that cage that wants you in. So pretty interesting stuff there. Wow. This was
for
powerful.
example, Facebook, they time all their emails to you to keep you engaged on Facebook. They have tons of data scientists looking at when can I send them a notification? When can I show up on their phone?
Wow, interesting. Man, they got you in every way. Especially as the more and more technology becomes so smart and so tuned in. And as they say, they know you better than you know yourself. They know every single thing that you haven't even thought of yet. They probably know when you're going to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom at this point.
Yeah. Unless you have your cosmic human design chart.
There you go. There's your protection.
Then you can know yourself.
Yeah, that's how you know yourself the best. Away from that kind of control and matrix, absolutely. Because that's the part they haven't figured out yet. They I don't think they even could, because of how powerful that is. That is your true nature. That's your God blueprint. So that's amazing. And I love the discussion today. Gentlemen, that was very, very powerful. What we just talked about there, and I'm sure we got. I'm sure we were going to create a thunderstorm or something out of that one. That was powerful stuff right there. That was a mantra right there.
It was fun. Absolutely fun. I really appreciate it. And a week off with you guys was too much. 3 weeks was just way too much.
Yeah, right. I know. Well, we'll try to keep it on schedule next time. All right, excellent. Great show today. I hope everybody enjoyed it in the audience. I know we had a lot of comments out there. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, as we had a lot of great stuff. So I appreciate everybody writing in, and we'll go back through and look through them and have some fun. Seeing what you guys are talking about out there. So great stuff. And yes, please, as the person out here said, please share and like and subscribe and I think that this needs to get out there to the world. What's going on here and this cosmic human design stuff and what we're talking about. It needs to get out there and get some legs and really get spread around to people out there. So if you guys can do us a favor, share these things, share these episodes. I will be making clips here and there. So if you see a clip, share that around as well. So great stuff. I appreciate everybody out there. So, all right. And that's going to conclude our episode. If you want a free chart, go to cosmichumandesign.com. And also our YouTube channel is youtube.com/cosmichumandesign. And we will be back in 2 weeks for another brand new Cosmic Human Design podcast. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us and have a great night.